What's up, everybody? This is Shakir Ramsey from RamseySpeaksTV. I'm here with a very good friend of mine and colleague from the Johnson School, Chao Wang. Chao is from China. He has a consulting background. He came to the Johnson School with an interest in high tech, was able to make the transition and landed a spot at Google. That is where he'll be heading back after we graduate from Johnson. Chao has a few great leadership accomplishments. He is the director of the Johnson's Mission Group as well as a Freed Fellow. So Chang, with that, I'd love to ask you about emerging markets as well as trends in tech. Can you speak to any of those things and kind of give insight to my viewers about those things?
Trends with technology in
trends
emerging markets?
Exactly.
Yeah, everybody knows that there's a lot of companies establishing their development centers, you know, in China and India and all those great countries. I think that's probably where the market is heading in terms of the next generations, because in terms of markets, that's huge. I think there's a lot of innovation still being done, core innovation still being done here in the US and also in some of the developed countries. However, you will see that a lot of people are going back to those countries where they came from, like India and China. And definitely there'll be a lot of brain drain problems that we experienced, other countries experienced before, the US might be experiencing in the next generations. So in terms of technology, the growth is still the internet. I think for the next 10 years, there'll be a lot of things happening. And then mobile, it's a big piece because everyone has a smartphone these days. You know, the iPhone, Google phones. You have a lot of things. Now you narrow it down to 3 major players, I believe, right? With the Windows platform and the Android and then the iOS from Apple. But I do believe that there will be some low-cost leaders coming into the place because it's such a huge market, and we have seen that emerging market. There's still a lot of place they can go into. So mobile internet, I believe it will still be the futures for the next 10 years, and also with a lot of data analytics stuff that backing up the information that's out there that people need to take seriously with the business decisions going forward.
Coming from China, coming from the East, are there any specific characteristics of leadership that you've learned that differ from the West and can either learn from each other?
Yeah, so I think one major trend I've seen, or at least in the leadership these days in the US, is more about how do we cut costs? How do we make sure that we are lean, you know, as going forward in operations? But in China, in some of the developing countries, what you see is how do we grow from 50% to 100% year over year? You know, that's huge. That's what the CEOs and leaders are looking differently. So in terms of visions, US used to be the godfathers of, you know, management and leadership, but now all these developing countries are coming here to learn about their technology, learn about their leadership styles, and also the organizational behaviors, and they're taking that with them, incorporated with their local cultures, and then also bring the talents from overseas. And making that fast transition. You know, it's all about going fast when you go to China, when you go, especially in China, because, you know, I have some experience in that. And then also, US tend to be less patient about making a profit. So some companies has to make an investment, you know, 5-10 years out, they will start making profits. But in this country, I think 3 to 5 years, it's probably the time frame you're looking at. If you don't make money, we don't kill the business. But in Asia, in China, they're willing to spend a lot of money. They're willing to spend money to make sure that the company survive. And then, because they know once they squeeze out the competition, once they get into the space, get the customers, they'll be able to take off. So there will be that kind of J-curve, which is a longer dip. But then, you know, that's the patience that Asians or the Chinese company will have, be able to have that sort of additional things with them in the leadership styles. I think that's some of the key main difference I see.
So you're heading back to Google.
Yeah.
From what I hear, it's a very impossible company to get into. I mean, I think like less than 0.5% of all people that apply get in. How does one, with that daunting task, do it without a computer science background or an engineering background? What would be your key recommendations?
Get an MBA. So I think MBA, it is a very good platform for you to get into all those top firms, you know, consulting, banking, or like really prestigious high-tech firms. That's one thing, because you're leaders, you know. What companies are looking for these days are people with well-rounded educations and backgrounds. Not only that, you know, as a Google or as a technology firm, I'm looking for engineers. They have more engineers than they needed. But what they really need is the person is able to work with the engineers and take their idea and transform into strategy and products. and working together with the product manager and salespeople, and also the back office guys, and make the company successful, right? So you will be the leaders making the directions, giving them the next few year plan, and then for the engineers to take on. So I think you need to have that kind of mindset. And secondly, I believe what's important is to learn as much technology things as possible. You don't have to start learning coding, but what you really need is to follow news, follow the trend, be able to understand what's really popular out there, what's really hot out there these days in this space, and then you will be able to speak to the ideas. It's all about ideas at the end of the day. When you go to Google, even though you're doing finance and operations, sales, everyone has an idea. Everyone wants to learn from each other. So you will be able to bring your own ideas and contribute to the success of the company and to the teams that you're working at, in the granular level. That's very important. People want you to make mistakes at work. Don't be afraid. So a lot of people are afraid of making mistakes because they feel that it's either embarrassing or it's not good reputation-wise. But at Google, everyone make mistakes, and they actually encourage you to do that. So be able to have that kind of mindset, and so try different things, and then make an impactful decisions. That's very important. So I'll definitely say, just to recap, firstly you need to be innovative enough, and then also be brave enough. Have confidence in yourself when you interview with those companies, and also last but not least, get an MBA if you are in a different position these days and wanting to get into the company.
Well, there you have it. Thank you, Chao.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, Shakir.
Alone you can go fast, but together as a community you can go far. When you're thinking about trends in technology, look to emerging markets. There is a bridge that leads right back to wherever you are. At the end of the day, alliances, joint ventures, this is the way to go, and so you might want to explore emerging markets, especially when it comes to technology. Second, there are leadership styles both in the East and West that we can learn from, as Chao pointed out. In the West, there might be some low-cost priorities, and in the East, there are some growth priorities. Out of that come certain tenets that I think you should explore as you discover your leadership style. And then third, if you do not have a computer science background, if you do not have an engineering background, all is not lost. If you are passionate, if you care enough about the tech industry, it is possible. Get an MBA if you can. It's not the most affordable option for everyone, but it is a good option. It well rounds you. It prepares you for leadership and management that these companies place a high premium on. Thank you so much for being with us at RamseySpeaks.com. I'd like to thank Chao again. Until next time, take care.
Thank you.